Did something.
So I'm going to go ahead and call to order, since we've made 6 o'clock, the Lacey Historical Commission. First thing we're going to be doing is having a roll call, just to make sure that we've got a quorum. So we'll start, just go around the table here. John.
Halverson, John Halverson's here.
Ed.
Ed Holman's here.
Those are commissioners.
Alan Tyler.
And online we have. Why?
I'm here, Tulagi. Good evening, everyone.
I'm sorry.
Commissioner Patani.
Right.
I'm here.
And that's what we have right now.
That's what we have for commissioners. Yep, and Chair Keogh.
Right.
As well. And then I'm Jen Burbidge, Director of Parks, Culture and Recreation. We have Jenny Wilson, who's our Senior Parks Planner. We have a couple representatives from the City Public Affairs Office, Kelly Adams and Alyssa Fontaine. They're on our agenda for later.
And we have 2 people from the Lacey Historical Society. Go ahead.
I'm Cheryl Malkmus. I'm a resident. I haven't joined the society yet, but I am.
Well, we talked her into it. And my name is John Jacix, a former resident and former member of the Planning Commission of the City of Lacey, now residing in Tumwater.
So with that, I'm going to start with the land acknowledgement. The Lacey Historical Commission meets on the historical ancestral land of the tribal people of the Treaty of Medicine Creek, including the Nisqually Indian tribe and the Squaxin Island tribe. We acknowledge and remember those tribal people not recognized today who were absorbed or relocated into other tribes for survival. We recognize the ancestors and their descendants who are still here. We recognize and respect the tribal people of the Treaty of Medicine Creek as the traditional stewards of this land since time immemorial, and their role today in taking care of these lands in perpetuity. We recognize and have responsibility to call attention to the histories of dispossession, forced removal, and abridged treaty rights that allowed our nation, state, and city to develop as they have today. And in that light, we recommend that community members read the Medicine Creek Treaty of 1854. From there, we will move to approval of the agenda and minutes. Does everybody have a copy of the agenda? Looks like it. So are there any changes that anybody wants to suggest to the agenda at this point? I have one item I'm going to suggest that we'll talk about probably toward the end of our business items. And that is simply we had talked at our last meeting about doing a rotation of the reading of the land acknowledgement among the commission members, but we never actually got to coming up with a specific rotation we're going to try to do. So I'd like to discuss that as item G on our agenda.
I move acceptance of the agenda as amended.
Okay. Any objections? Hearing none, I'll take a vote on the approval of the agenda. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Hi. Hi.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it sounds like we have approved that. And we'll move on to the review and approval of the November 15th meeting minutes.
Okay, and Commissioner Chair Keogh, I just wanted to note that Commissioner Getz is here. Welcome, Commissioner Getz.
Okay.
Yep. And we'll just need, what time did you join, Commissioner?
I think it was probably 6:01 by the time it finished logging on. Sorry, Zoom decided to update right as I was trying to open it. So, because of course it did.
Of course. Well, we're glad you're here. Thank you.
So has everybody had a chance to review the November 15th minutes, meeting minutes? Are there any suggestions or changes that you want to make to those? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion for approval of those minutes.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes as delivered.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Any objections? Hearing none, all in favor of approval of the minutes, please say aye.
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 We have a copy of the agenda.
Any opposed? Hearing none, I think we have approved those and we will move all along to the next portion. And that is public comment. We have a member of the Lacey Historical Society here, along with our other guest, who wanted to talk to us about a recommendation being made in that regard.
Thank you, Chairman. Again, my name is John Jacobs. I was the secretary of the Lacey Historical Society up until the end of the year. And as such, I was at the annual meeting that we had over at the community center, where I met Cheryl, who came to me with a very intriguing proposal regarding Selma Street. Selma Street is a little stub of a street tucked in where the new multi-care neighborhood emergency department is now located. And I'll let Cheryl give you more details behind the history, but I just wanted to let you know that with her urging, we met with the Mr. Will Collicoat over at Capital Medical Center, who owns the property, and told them the story that Cheryl's going to tell you. And he was all in and said, to the extent that it did not create any legal additional requirements to having the Selma Street recognized by the city in order to make sure that down the road, if perhaps they expand and it becomes vacated, that at least there'll be some recognition of its need there. He also mentioned when we were there that Mayor Ryder used to be a resident, at least his office was on Selma Street, and referred us to him about a very older than me anyway, 70-plus-year-old tree, a Liriodendron tulipifera that's back, that was saved from construction damage. And so we spoke with Kevin McFarland, the city's arborist, and based upon all of that, we are here to you to ask for approval, your support in our effort to name the street as a memorial roadway. If we can get one of those really nice brown historic signs, kind of to reinforce that it ought not be forgotten. And then again, the McFarland's comment about the significance of the tree, see if we can get it on the new registry of historical trees. But and we do have copies that we're submitting of both the presentation we made to Mr. Collicoat and the motion that we got yesterday, as a matter of fact, and support from the society as a gift to me as I left the board. But it's all based upon Cheryl's great remembering her neighbor. So Cheryl, if you would like.
Yes, well, I was here in November about Selma Street. And I was really concerned at that point that something was going to happen to it, that they were building and the road was blocked off. And I was concerned it was going to get vacated and then there would be no more Selma Street. However, in the plan, the car wash and the veterinarian still are on the two properties of the subdivision. And I have here a map of the subdivision, and I can we can share it, pass it around so that, you can see. It was, the land was purchased in, 1947 by, the Popkes. And, by 1949, he had paid off the loan and then created the subdivision. And so the subdivision was done in 1950. And before he could build or do something with, he had to name the street going right down the middle of it. And so he decided to name that street Selma after his wife. And these are just good, hardworking people. And I met them when Buster, we called him Buster, retired. And they were both 67 years old when I met them. They lived in a duplex that Buster had built. And I have a picture of the duplex right here. It's still there. And I was their neighbor on the other side of the, well, you can't see my house, but I'm on the other side, on the back side. And so they were really great neighbors. And Selma told me how excited she was when she found out that Buster had named the street for her. And so that was their first property that they built and put together. And so they built houses, and Buster was a builder. He built houses, built duplexes, and that was their income. They didn't have Social Security and retirement things. So they had land. And so from that one, he then went down Slater Kinney. And Selma told me when they first came and went down Slater Kinney, it was two tire tracks going down through the bushes. So Buster then created Country Homes Division. And Country Homes Division is where his house is. And he had homes, Country Homes Division 1 and Country Homes Division 2. Country Homes Division fronted what is now Slater Kinney, and some of his houses have disappeared from purchases by Panorama. But on the other side, on the back side of those houses that fronted Slater Kinney, on the backside is Brunswick Street. And those houses are mostly still all there. And then from there, on the other side of that is Magnolia Street. And those houses are also some that he built, or if he did not build them, he had the property and he would sell it so that other people could build. So he lived there. They owned from the subdivision. There was also land behind. There's about still 5 acres of vacant land behind. And it runs up to the, what we used to call the log dump train, but now it's the trail that goes out to Woodard Bay and on down. So they've been around for a long time. They were married in 1931 in Snohomish, Washington. They had one son. He went to the old Lacey School, and they were just really nice, special people. They had a truck, they had a camper on top, and when the time came, they would journey on down to Arizona and stay there for the winter, and then they would journey back and come back and plant a huge garden. I'm telling you, Selma was way before her time. She planted kale, so.
That's funny.
They were healthy eaters, even back then, had lots of good kale and things in their gardens. So I have a picture here of Selma and a picture of their house. Here's their gravestone in the Masonic cemetery, and the little note on there says they liked people. So
very cute picture of Selma. By the way.
Well, yeah, you know, they used to wear, used to wear those rain hats, so yeah, pull them apart. Oh, come on. So then here is, here's the tree. And if you are at Fred Meyer's out in the parking lot on the south side and you look out across the other little places where they have the fitness store place and some other little shops, you can see the top of the tree above that building. So this is the tree. This is where the tree is, right here. And so far, Multicare has only really used the one side of Selma Street. The other side is still vacant. And I don't know what they're going to do, but I don't want to wait and see what they're going to do and then something happens to the street. At this point, there's still the vet and the car wash. So they have access through the back parts of their properties that access Selma Street. So I would like to ask for us not to forget Selma Street and to designate it as something special in the city of Lacey from these residents that came back way in the 40s and stayed, and they're just special.
Kind of what struck me when I first met Cheryl was that I recall Al Holman as a developer, and obviously Mr. Popkus and his wife aren't quite to the extent of Mr. Holman. In my mind, I remember the reference of mini-me. You know, the Popkuses were mini-me Al Holman, and again, these were in the 1950s that they built these houses, a good decade and a half before Lacey was Lacey. And it seemed like an appropriate historical context to just a very, very minor distinction, but very major memory. So we are looking forward to working with whomever is appropriate to fill out the right paperwork and appreciate whatever effort that you might grant favor in terms of support in this case. And I should take these over to the staff.
And I wanted to note to the commissioners, but we do have a formal request here. And so we'll go ahead and scan this in and make sure it's part of the record for this meeting or future meeting. And staff is happy to look into the request and match it up with policy. And you mentioned paperwork and see what can be done, and then staff can put it on a future agenda item.
Okay, that's what I was gonna check about. So it seems like it sounds like it needs the review before we can actually vote or move on it, but that's what I wanted to check on there. It sounds like that's something.
Yeah, and you'll note, we did put a future agenda item for tonight actually is historical street sign policy, just for as a refresher, that is in your packet, and you probably saw it. But it looks like there might be some other city policies that we need to review for this particular request, because there are 3 different bullet points. 4 if you include the tree, so.
Okay, great, well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to come in and say hello.
Appreciate it.
We've enjoyed it all.
Do we have anybody else in the queue online, who's?
Oh. I don't see any of the public, and I know we did not receive any public comment before noon today.
Okay.
I confirmed with Aaron. But I do see that Commissioner Wyckoff is in attendance. Commissioner Wyckoff, could you let us know what time you joined?
Yeah, sorry, I joined probably about 6:08. I intended to be there in person, but I had a family emergency, so I'm better here than not at all. So
Yeah, thank you. I hope all is okay.
mechanical problems, nothing live.
So I think then, we probably move on to looking at our meeting schedule for this coming year. So the first of our business items, number A.
Yeah, so just, there's no action item here. We just provided the year at a glance for the commissioners to see the meeting schedule. So that's in your packet. I mean, as you know, our meetings are every third Wednesday of the month and at 6 o'clock. So just if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer. Yes.
On the minutes that we just approved on page 5, there's a bullet point. Says joint work session with city council confirmed on March 26th at 6 p.m. and will include the Parks, Culture and Recreation Board. Is that still on?
So,
Because I don't see it here.
right, that's a good catch. So at that time, the work session was scheduled for that date, but there was a change since then. So now it's January 23rd or next Tuesday.
Aha.
So thanks for pointing that out. I believe the correct work session date is on the calendar that we put. Yeah,
And we were gonna be talking about that update here in the very next item, so.
yes, but at the time the minutes went out, that actually was the date.
Kind of figured that.
Got rescheduled.
Just wanted to be sure.
Thank you. Appreciate that. It's a good eye.
Yep, I didn't like it when I would point out on paragraph 7 of page 79 of the city budget that there was a item that wasn't explained, that sort of thing. It's lucky I was on the council that one.
So then I think we move on to the next informational item, which is about the work session update.
Yes, just another quick one. To remind the commissioners, the format is different this year rather than including, so if you recall, we used to do a museum overview on the same night as the presentation of the accomplishments and work plan to the city council. But we have a whole different format this year. And so basically it's about 30 minutes that the historical commission has on the agenda. And Erin has put together slides and talking points. She's gonna be co-presenting. I'll introduce Erin and Chair Keough, and then they'll co-present the accomplishments and the work plan. We'd love to see you all in person since it's a, kind of a special occasion and here in person with the council. But know that Zoom is an option as well. Erin's going to confirm with you.
Do we have a ballpark idea of when we're gonna be up on
Yes,
that evening?
yep, the packet went out today, actually. And so it looks like planning commission is first at 6 o'clock. The Parks Board is second and the Historical Commission is third, so 6:30. So we'll be on right around 7 o'clock.
Okay.
But I'll pass these out to you. If you can also go online and find the packet. But I just printed them since I knew so many of you are gonna be here tonight. I'm gonna pass those down. Yeah, so that's basically all that I had. Just, again, another reminder, it's next Tuesday night, January 23rd, and happy to answer questions.
The next item on our list was the historical street sign policy, which I think was at least part of what applies in this particular circumstance. But it sounds like there might be other items as well. And then I think probably we're just putting that up and then asking if people have any questions, clarifications that they need.
Yeah, the commission had requested more info about it at the last meeting. The policy describes the reason behind the policy as well as the criteria. And then something we wanted to note of particular importance is that the historic street names are meant to preserve the original name of a street or part of a street when first put into public use. So with Selma Street, I think it's always been Selma Street.
No,
So what
Oh,
it was Selma.
Avenue?
well, Avenue.
And then in 1974, when streets went north and avenues went east west. I mean, that's really the only distinction, but it is.
Did we have to blame the fire department or the post office?
I don't think blame.
Oh, wrong phrase?
It is for emergency response, and then we obviously, respect that designation.
Right.
Pretty
So
straightforward.
and you've seen it in your packet.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, we're gonna be taking a deeper dive on this because of the
Sure.
request. But
So I think then we can move down to acquisitions.
all right, and I forgot to mention in the beginning that Erin is not here. You probably noticed that, but
Is it?
she did put together the acquisitions for you all to review. Does everybody have a copy of that, or do you need me to pull it up? The acquisitions that are in the packet?
I didn't get it, I think so, that's what I'm trying to get.
Okay, I can pull it up on the screen if you give me 1 second here. I need to download the PDF real quick and share it on my screen, so.
Jan T left a lot of Ken Balsley stuff.
Feel free to discuss while I'm looking it up here, and some of you have the packet.
We're actually gonna have to build a third museum now to handle all of the Ken Balsley documents.
But we just need a new closet here in the,
Really digitize it. Entire collection will be on a thumb drive one day. Or some other type of storage device.
yes. It'll be in the cloud. There we go. Okay.
Okay,
There you go, Ed.
there it is. So
Collaboration.
Jan Teague. Contributed 6 boxes, including awards, posters, artifacts, documents, business cards, and photographs documenting local Lacey events and Ken Balsley's personal life. And then Laura Player contributed 3 Lacey school class photos.
52, 54, and 56.
Yep.
Names on the back, do we think? Of the photos, so we know who they are? Or is that too much?
I knew you were gonna ask me a question that only Erin could answer.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry.
We can get back to you.
Just a curiosity. No, you don't have to. I'm good.
So, this is an item that we need to take an action on, so, what we're basically looking for is a motion to approve these acquisitions. Unless there's some discussion that you want to have first.
I'll move we accept to the permanent collection, Jan Teague and Laura Player donations.
Second.
Any discussion? Other than the fact John wants to make sure that there's pencil on the back of the photos.
Names, yeah.
Well, that's what usually pencil would be used for. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Sounds like we've approved them.
Thank you.
And then we get into the city email addresses and advisory board stipend program.
Oh, where would you like us to sit?
I'm gonna,
Anywhere you
I'm
want.
just sharing and then I'm gonna move out of the way.
Take the invitation, thank you. So my name's Kelly Adams. I'm the Special Projects Administrator at the city. I work in public affairs at the moment on things like the website, things like getting all of our public meetings online and accessible,
and a lot of other various special projects. Alyssa is our amazing city clerk, who is our wizard of all things public records and keeping us in line and informed. And so we want to share information with you about what's changing in 2024. And then we're going to be here after the meeting to provide you all the technical support you need to participate in all these changes. So what we're going to go over today is the new City of Lacey email addresses that have been issued to you. The new board portal, which is our new public meetings portal for you to see during the meetings. We're going to talk about the advisory board stipend program that just started this month. We're starting to collect demographics. We're going to tell you why and what that looks like. And we'll be here again after the meeting. If you take away nothing, we will be here after the meeting.
All right, so to kick it off, new email addresses. We understand that these have been issued out to you by Erin with some temporary passwords. The new email addresses are for official board communications only. So these are for your role as an advisory board member here on the Board Commission. As you may be aware, emails relating to the conduct of public business are considered public records and are subject to disclosure pursuant to our Public Records Act. So there is no right to privacy in use of city issued technology. Those email addresses are for historical commission role only in communicating with staff, meeting materials, those sort of things.
And now you have my address someplace that you're gonna give me after this, is that right?
We'll talk. Yeah.
Okay, because
We won't leave you
it's
stranded.
not an easy thing for me.
And we will be here after the meeting.
So will I.
The new email addresses are also connected to your login for Civic Clerk. So once we do get you set up into your new email address inbox, there is an invitation waiting for you for Civic Clerk. Again, be mindful of public record requirements, and then we are going to provide login assistance.
Will you be available after the meeting?
For a
Yes,
brief moment in
that's the
time.
I think we can do that.
So Civic Clerk Board Portal, this is offers board member access only for all of your meeting materials for current, future, and past historical commission meetings. It also has a public portal site. So this is what we use on the city website to have all of our public meeting materials available to the public. Approved minutes get uploaded to it. Jenny is using it now to help capture and bookmark a live meeting. So this will assist with the functionality and transparency for our meeting materials. Some future features that we're not going to dive into too much today, but they will become available is electronic roll call. This is something that when you are logged into the portal and a motion and a second is cast and a vote is called for, you will be able to electronically cast your vote if you so choose. And the roll call itself does feed into our stipend program that we will be talking about here in just a few slides. So this is something that we are currently using right now to roll call, see who is present at a meeting. And so for those advisory board members that do opt into this, this is how we are tracking and providing this information to our finance department. Any questions so far? All right, so we're just do a quick brief overview of what the Civic Clerk Board Portal will look like. So once we get you authenticated and logged in, you will be able to join a meeting and choose whether you are present and voting and save that into the roll call feature. We will be able to export that data and save for all the meetings that you attend. If you choose to participate in electronic voting here in the future, a window will pop up. It will be very straightforward. It will give you a yes, no, or abstain, and you will be able to cast your vote and save it. If you do not participate in electronic voting, Jenny is still capturing it, or any staff that are participating in the live meeting. The Civic Clerk vote results, whether you cast audibly or electronically, are provided in a public display. So this happens live during a meeting for all those who are watching remotely, as well as if you go back to a meeting that has already occurred and on the public portal, the public can see this display for any motions and votes. And then once the meeting's over, it gives you an option to leave the meeting and log out. They will time out and you won't be logged into the meeting forever. So if you do forget this part, it will auto log you out since you can't be logged into 2 meetings at one time. All right, I'm gonna kick it back over to Kelly.
And I just wanted to say about that system, some of the things that I really like about it is a lot of our audience doesn't understand Robert's rules, right? They're not quite versed in Robert's rules and what might actually be going on. They might just be watching for a particular item that they're interested in. And so this live view that they're watching shows them where they've come into the meeting, so what agenda item is active, what that vote really looked like, and helps them, and especially for anyone who has accessibility issues. In a council meeting, when they see that information on the screen, it just makes it so much easier for them to participate and to understand the meeting. But the advisory board member stipend program. So the goal of this program, which was approved in October by the city council, is to reduce barriers to volunteering. So we want to have full advisory boards, and we recognize that these are volunteer positions that cost you something to be here. And for a lot of community members, that cost is just, they do that cost benefit analysis and they can't afford the childcare or the transportation. It just doesn't work out for them. So we're missing a lot of community members here. And also you're volunteering. It's costing you something to be here tonight.
It is?
It is. And so this is an example. This is a rough comparison of 3 advisory board members. The first member is retired, no children at home, has their own vehicle, but it is still costing them $3 of fuel to be here. And that on a fixed income is still $3 that could have been spent on something else. Community member 2, they own a vehicle, they're a single parent, they're working 9 to 5, they have children under 5, so their childcare expenses are a little higher. So I think that's about $53 for that same 110 minutes. And our third member doesn't own a car, so those transportation times are longer, childcare to compensate for those transportation times. Again, we're looking at about $50. So the program is going to apply to all of our current advisory boards. It applies right now. And any ad hoc or task forces that the city council needs throughout the year to make informed decisions. And so the program is opt-in or opt-out. That's the only mandatory part, is that we need you to opt in or opt out. And we're doing that through an email that you've received in your official email account. We'll walk you through that after this meeting. The $50 stipend is per meeting with a maximum of $500 a year. This is paid out quarterly, and we are encouraging everyone to consult with their own tax advisor on what that looks like for their situation and reporting. Payments are made in conjunction with our finance department through an automated vendor system. So this doesn't apply to regional board members like public utilities districts. It doesn't apply to city employees, and it does not apply to council members. We're going to be collecting metrics and looking at the program and reporting back to council. This is sort of a long-term program. We're going to know in the next few years what impact it has. And it is implemented by the city manager's office, the finance department, and our city clerk. So
Go ahead.
did you have any questions about the program before we get into? Okay, Alyssa's going to talk you through what the actual opt-in and opt-out looks like.
So what to expect, as Kelly mentioned, once we get you successfully logged into your city issue email inboxes, we will have an invite for you to complete the opt-in, opt-out request. So there will be some communications that are sent through my emails via Smartsheet. So that is a trusted communication. It will ask you to open the request, and once you do so, there is about 5 fields that will pop up. We are looking for the drop-down selection of a opt-in, opt-out, and then accepting the terms of the program if you should opt in. The other fields will populate your contact information as we currently have them. So if there is any need for edits or updates, you can update that there, and it will prompt us to update what we have in our files. So if it all looks correct, no need to change or alter anything there. And then you can submit the request. Yes.
So the first line has a drop down arrow, and that's where it'll say opt in or opt
Yep,
out.
it'll give you 2 selections. only let you select one. And also, if you'd like to send a copy of your responses, it is encouraged in case there is any questions from staff, or if you need to follow up for assistance later. Should you choose to opt in and submit the request form, you will get a message thanking you, confirming your choice to opt in. This will also indicate that an electronic payment platform known as PaymentWorks will be sending future correspondence at a later time. This is triggered by our finance department, that once they get you set up and how they issue their electronic payments. This will not be immediate, but will kind of come a couple weeks later after we get all the information to our finance team. And obviously, if you have any questions, my contact email or contact information is repeated throughout the correspondence. So again, some trusted communications in the city issued email addresses that you will receive are going to be coming from Smartsheet, myself, city staff, which all have the city domain that you're used to seeing, as well as PaymentWorks from our finance department. Those are safe to click on. All right.
Demographics. So, and we're trying to be really detailed with showing you what you'll see because we get so many spam and phishing emails. We want to make sure that you know exactly what you're looking at. So demographics. So based on a recommendation that began with our Commission on Equity, we can't answer the question of who is currently serving on our advisory boards. We don't have clear demographics. So we can't answer any questions based on, which community perspectives are missing and where we need to improve outreach and engagement. So what we are doing is collecting demographics based on anonymous survey. And so what we're asking you to do is to participate in an 11-question survey that we are going to send to your email. And because it's anonymous, this is all saved separately because these are sensitive questions. We try to align them to what the census asks, but we have a few extra questions that don't align to the census that we're asking. And so we're saving those are anonymous, and we're going to eventually be comparing those against national, state, county, and local demographics. And so these are the 11 topics that we're asking about. And again, we recognize some of these are really sensitive topics, but they are helpful for us to know so that we can answer the question when the community comes to us and says, how representative of the community are your leadership and your advisory boards?
I'm Norwegian, so that'll be in there.
And we will be here after the meeting. Is there any other information that we can provide?
Tell me again the name of the payment company or something.
PaymentWorks.
And we're going to send you an email with all of this reiterated and condensed.
So you always say.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
See you shortly.
So I think the next item on the list is to look at the work plan and accomplishments. And the importance of this at this particular point is that we'll be reporting on this, of course, to the city council next week. So this is our last chance to take a look at this, make sure we haven't missed something.
Yeah, so part of this will be at the work session, which is the accomplishments from last year. And then the work plan that'll be there is actually the 2024 work plan. So the reason the 2023 work plan is on your agenda is that we've made some just little housekeeping changes. And so we just have that approved by the commission at the end of the year, along with the accomplishments from last year. So I'm happy to answer any questions. Did you want me to pull it up on the screen?
Sure, I think it makes sense.
So. So here are the accomplishments. And other noteworthy achievements.
So what adjustments did you make in this, Jen?
So the accomplishments. This one you guys have already reviewed and there weren't changes. The changes were with the work plan. As you can see, it says approved December 21st, 2022, right, in advance of 23. And then it was revised January 17th with just some updates on what was actually finished and what wasn't, statuses of you know, I think before it said for this one, for example, it said we are going to submit a budget request, but now it's budget request was submitted and approved. So just to make the, you know, just to, like I said, just housekeeping type items. So, and that's, again, this is last year's work plan.
Right.
Not the one that's gonna be presented at the joint work session. But in terms of the accomplishments and noteworthy achievements, I may have said this before, but I'll say it again, the commission should be very proud of all the accomplishments and achievements in 2023. And I, for one, very excited for you all to share with the council some of these items. So the, you know, of course, you all updated the Lacey Museum strategic plan. We launched a Lacey Museum and Cultural Center Funding Strategy Committee. Took a tour over to the new museum site, the current museum, and the depot. Renamed the Historian of the Year Award in honor of Ken Balsley. We noted that Thelma Jackson was named as the Historian of the Year in May. And then that, of course, Chair Keogh accepted the History Month proclamation from City Council. And then, of course, there are 3 items here under historic properties. As you know, work was done on the rack kiosk, and Chair, as you know, well, since you've been so involved with it. Other noteworthy achievements, the utility wraps, all of the acquisitions that came through this commission last year. And then we did add some of the Lacey Museum accomplishments as well. I won't go through line for line, but it's just amazing work for 2023, so. Again, just looking for approval of these items, and these are on the included in the packet for next week as well.
So I guess I will open it up if there's any discussion, suggestions, etc. that anybody wants to make. And if there is not, I will welcome a motion to approve. What?
See if somebody else want to make a motion.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Get on the record.
You're signaling.
Come on.
So moved.
Commissioner Getz.
There we go.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the work plan and accomplishments, please say aye.
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 Any not approving? Hearing none, I think we've approved that.
Thank you.
And then the last item we have in this portion of the meeting is to talk a little bit about the rotation of the land acknowledgement reading. Like I mentioned at the start of the meeting, we discussed doing that at the last meeting, but then never actually set that in motion, which is why when looking at it tonight, I decided I would go ahead and read it again. And then we would talk about how we want to do that rotation. And we could do it, I think, a couple of ways, and you folks may have other suggestions. You could either just have people say, gee, I'll take the next one and we'll just do a lineup. Or we could just agree that at the end of each meeting, we would set who would do it the next meeting. There's a couple different ways to play this. So anyway, I'm open to suggestions. I just think we want to make sure that we have a way of doing a rotation if that's what we want to do. Thoughts, comments?
I'll ball through for next time. 21st. Could just do it alphabetical, make everybody.
We could do that. It's also an easy way to go.
Yeah.
Do we want to go first names or last names?
I think last name, because when I get on the record before Arthur West files an open meetings act and figures out who to go after.
I'm certainly open to doing that kind of rotation, if that would be the easiest one, and then we'll just check in with people to make sure they're gonna be at the next meeting. That puts, looks like Kimberly up first in February. Does that work for you, Kimberly?
Maybe. It's ledge session. Who knows? I
Who
might,
knows?
I might not be here,
So
but hey,
how do
if
you-
I am here, I am happy to do it. But I make no promises I will actually be here.
So we could run this, I mean, just an alternate way, use what we already have in place. We could do it rotating, my last name, and the alternate would be the next person who's there, who's actually present, on the list. So John, you might get your shot anyway.
Yay! Thanks, Dad.
If that works, I mean, we could just do it that way, and then we'll just circle back to the persons who weren't able to be here.
Sure.
So you don't get off it forever, Kimberly.
Okie dokie.
So if somebody wants to make a motion to that effect, that would be an easy way to do the rotation. Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, and I don't know that you need a motion, Chair.
Okay,
I
We'll
think
just agree
kind
to
of
do that.
thumbs up that
Okay.
that works. Yeah, thank
okay.
you.
So. Okay. So let's move on to reports then. Lacey Historical Society. You doing that job?
Mr. JJ, you're up.
We've been busy. We have a newsletter that, I think, most of you, I think, John actually delivered the first one of the new group that has taken over from last year's, pandemic handoff. And you can expect another one coming up, either later this month or, in February. We are looking at the various ways to announce and communicate to Lacey residents at events and through other media. Gosh.
Website?
Oh, that's right. Thank you. Working with a local company with roots to a longtime family in Lacey. Profits Up has designed a website for us, and we're getting all the parts to actually work together. And also, we can take your contributions and memberships online too as well. So actually right now you can, but we haven't really we've done our soft launch internally, but it'll be coming out more publicly. We're also revising our Facebook presence too, just all those things that the young people recognize that are just, and I appreciate your concern about technology as well.
Thank you.
Did I miss anything, John? Thank you for reminding me of that.
I think that's the main.
Thank you. And they got rid of their secretary. And now the new secretary is the former clerk, Tim McGuire, is our new secretary, along with Denise Keegan, who was a charter member of the Historical Society back in 1980 with Ken Balsley. I just kind of it's kind of fun to look back and see, wow, it's been a while. Thank you for your time.
Policy subcommittee.
I believe they're still on hiatus.
Okay.
That would be correct.
Okay. So then we'll work our way around with the commissioners. Why don't we start with the folks who are online tonight? So, And we might as well go alphabetic, so Kimberly, you're up first.
I have nothing to report other than it's ledge session and it's busy, busy, busy.
Talai, I think you're up next.
I have nothing to share. Thank you.
Kevin? Oh, you might not have to unmute.
Oh, I have nothing to share as well.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Ed?
I have nothing to
Okay,
complain about, I guess, tonight.
okay, Alan?
I would just like to acknowledge the presentation on Selma Street tonight and how well thought out it was with all the information that
It was very nice.
very informative. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
John?
I'm just happy that we get to be on the commission. The staff do all the work and we get credit for all these accomplishments. I like being on a committee like that. I've only been on 6 months, so hopefully I won't be kicked off for the next 6 months, but it's enjoyable. Appreciate all of your contributions, and you're a great chair there, Mr. Kim.
Thank you. I have only small things to report at this moment, other than, we've already been doing some prep for next week's city council meeting. I think I'm down to the last 4 or 5 photos in the Ballsy Lacey Leader collection for getting those looked through, and then I think Aaron's gonna have me start doing scanning, since mostly I've been just writing up items that we see in them. And it sounds like the rack, what do I want to say, blanking for a second, the plans for the rack
Oh, the
display
kiosk.
kiosk are coming forward pretty well right now. I would say they have the general design put together, and they're in the midst of reviewing write-ups and photos and kind of figuring out how they're going to get those pieces put together. So they're making progress in that. I still owe them a few photos, so that's something I hope to get to in the next couple of weeks.
Great, so on to the museum curator. Aaron wanted me to share that January 10th was a history talk. It was called Inside the Lacey City Council of the 1970s with Karen Fraser, and there were 52 people in attendance.
It was great.
And you were there?
Yeah.
Also, she wanted me to let you know museum staff connected with community members for the Stories of the South Sound to go over project and story collecting for the oral history project. And then in February, the creativity corner at the museum will contain a dragon craft for the Lunar New Year. So lots of things happening at the museum. And then director's report. So Aaron had forwarded on the press release, but we wanted to acknowledge that former Lacey Mayor and City Council member William A. Bush passed away December 21st. In 2005, the city recognized him for his lifelong advocacy for parks and recreation by naming one of the city parks along Yelm Highway, William A. Bush Park. So.
Good man. I served with him several years.
So huge loss to the community and.
Yep, he was 90 years old, so he, wow, had a long life.
That ain't so long.
And is there any
The service had to be changed because one of the family members got COVID. And so it hasn't been rescheduled yet. We'll get the word out.
Sure, and we're happy to share that info as well, so.
Oh,
Thank you.
on behalf of their daughter, Catherine, she was ecstatic and happy that the museum staff found many photos of Bill at various stages of his 24 years of service here. And I have a few in my own collection that it'll probably be on some sort of slideshow whenever that happens. So she was very appreciative of the efforts that Alicia and Aaron made.
Oh, good. Great, we'll make sure and pass that along to them.
Please do.
Glad we could help.
Because it was during the holidays that they did it.
Yeah. All right, and then the Ken Balsley Memorial Bench was installed at Civic Plaza. The dedication ceremony was going to be held tomorrow, January 18th at 2 p.m. We are going to be rescheduling that due to the inclement weather, and so we will make sure and get commissioners the new information once we have that date and time. Just a couple things out of city council, the 2024 budget was approved at the December 21st council meeting. And then in December, at their December 7th meeting, they changed city council meetings from Thursdays to Tuesdays officially, and officially eliminated the council committees. So those will not continue. And as far as our department goes, we have a lot of new staff coming on board. We had 3 new staff that started either in late December or into January. And that's, you know, being a department of 18, that's kind of a large percentage of our department. But we have a new sports and fitness coordinator, a new aquatics and volunteer supervisor, and our new executive assistant will be starting this Monday, January 22nd. His name is Carter Gibson. He'll be attending your meetings and doing the minutes, so you'll get to know him pretty well. And he's going to be joining us at the joint work session next week, so that's when you'll first get to meet him. So we're very excited about our new employees coming on board. And that's all I have for my report.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So when they approved the budget, city council, what was the outcome on the roof about Jacob Smith and or whatever else? Is there any action there? Did they designate money for that?
Not currently. What we're going to do is we're going to take a look at where we are in March and see if there is a budget adjustment that can be made at that time.
But they did approve the money to start the process for having it on a historical register?
So they did approve the $15,000 for the historic preservation consultant that will be helping us with the both the McKinney House and the Jacob Smith House.
To be on the city's historical register?
To be on the city, right, yep, to be on the cities. Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
So, just a quick note before we look at possibly adjourning. So we've got the joint session next week at 6 o'clock, probably we're up at 7. Our next meeting is on February 21st at 6 o'clock. And there's a history talks coming up on Thursday, the 15th, February 15th at 6:30 on the Washington State Archives. I'm actually looking forward to that. I'm curious to see what could be learned that I haven't figured out how to direct so far. There's Lacey Cultural Celebration coming up on March 9th. And then there's another history talk in March on the 14th, Jewish history in the South Sound. So having noted those, unless there's something else somebody wants to discuss, I am open to a motion for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? I think we're adjourned.
Gosh, I was gonna call for a roll call vote.
Thank
Oh,
you.
you were?
Yeah, thank you, and those of you that are
you.
online, if you have questions
Thanks, Cheryl.
about any of the new stuff, please don't hesitate to.
When's that meeting next week?
Pardon me?
When's the meeting next week?
Got it.
It's on
got it.
Tuesday.
Tuesday,
Bye.
and it's regular time?
Tuesday, it's